My name is Chrono. I'm a Boxx Jigglypuff. I've been playing for a year and a half, and I've been playing on Boxx for 7 months.
Nice. So, what's your goal at the moment?
My goal is to become PR'd locally here in Iwa. I'm only just a couple of positions off, so it's more of like a short-term goal. But then afterwards, I want to become PR in Washington State.
Is like Iwa in Washington? Like, what's stand
Yeah,
for?
yeah, just Eastern Washington region.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, no, Washington has some pretty good players, so that makes sense. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And what do you do for practice right now?
I do some little bit of part-time coaching and sessions with CPU Zero. That's what I do primarily for practice. But other than that, I just attend tournaments often and try to get as much matchup experience and just gameplay experience as possible through that.
Okay. And I see that when this game starts, you have like a custom box. Like, is it like just the faceplate, or is it actually just like custom?
Yeah, yeah. So I was able to get in contact with Hacks and Simple when talking about purchasing my box, and I learned that I can, use a custom artwork underneath the acrylic faceplate, and I was able to just have an artist that I used to have because I used to do Twitch streaming. They were able to make a drawing for me to put on my box,
That
and
is
ever
sick.
since it's just that.
Yeah, no. I was really curious if it was custom because there's been a lot of talk about like box legality and like which boxes are just like should be banned or whatever, but it makes sense that it's just a normal box with just like
Right, right.
yeah, I was just curious because there is differences obviously because I have a box too. I was planning on switching to it, and
Yeah,
the reason I wasn't going to is like I don't want to spend so much money on Genesis and Pound on my box, but
true,
honestly,
true.
uh in terms of like boxes advantages, like 1.0 Cardinals and like is and tech chasing like for travel time and stuff because you don't have to like you just move to the next button without having to like move your control stick. Basically,
Yeah,
it
no
makes
doubt.
like tech chasing and stuff your primary goal. I don't want to say like game plan with the box, but if I
Right.
like when I'm going to try and like I'm gonna like start working on Box Fox and seeing how that goes before I like test around with like Boxx Jigglypuff again. But you're you're basically allowed to go for more tech chasing than usual. So
Right.
I would try and focus on doing that in a lot of your matchups. Like for instance against Sheik, like literally just spam down throw tech chasing and just you'll probably win more sets than you probably should just because of how good tech chasing is in the box. Like from my like
All right.
2 week experiences, like I just like played on it and my tech chasing was like 1,000 times better. So I would
Yeah.
definitely try and tech chase a lot. And like
The only time
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The only time that I ever really find myself using down throw more than up throw up air or up throw into just tech chase on the platform is really when I'm trying to do DI mix-ups against Spacies and Falcon. I mean, other than that, I just don't find myself using it that often, so it's definitely good to have in the back of my head.
so actually, down throw doesn't really. I can actually show you, but in terms of down throw against Spacies and Falcon, there's a big difference between Spacies and Falcon actually, even though it doesn't really seem like it. Against like Fox, for instance, he'll like. I got him into the right percent too. So he doesn't get knocked down from down throw onto a platform till about like 50-ish, I believe. Yeah. And then you actually cannot get a tech chase off of a down throw. Let me get into the corner again. At all, basically. I don't think that changes on the box either. Wow, that just did not work. I hate Uncle Punch sometimes. Do you use Uncle Punch a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I was just making sure. There we go. So you actually cannot get a tech chase off down throw. Why do you go? I hate. Let me put him to 60, I guess. Oh my god, I hate this DI. There we go. Like, you cannot get a tech chase on down throw. That was a frame 1 tech chase, but this is assuming that he'll always do roll away.
Right.
And then if he does roll in, what I was just doing made it look easy, but I was just guessing, and he missed the tech there. So, essentially, you cannot get a down to a tech chase versus Fox or Falco. But against Falcon, you actually can. So that's a big difference between those two characters. So
Right.
I would pretty much never use down throw against Fox or Falco. Unless you're
Right,
on the
okay.
edge, but like usually on a platform, even if I'm in the corner, I'd rather forward throw. And then when you forward throw them, they would just have to like do like a jump out of it, or they have like a few mix-ups. They can try and shine stall like air dodge, or like try and like double jump back side B. It's just like doing down throw basically hopes that your opponent isn't actually cognizant that they can just mix up their tech enough to the point where you actually cannot get a reaction tech chase.
Right,
So
okay.
I would not do down throw against Spacies. I did down throw a lot against those characters, but it's like it's just not that good comparatively. It's like against Sheik and stuff, like there's certain percent ranges that, and like Falcon too, like that down throw tech chasing doesn't even work, even though it's like supposed to work on those characters. But against space animals, just don't.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. So where was I? Also on drifts on Boxx, I noticed like from the gameplay, like I feel like you do a lot of like all or nothing type drifts, which is pretty common with the Boxx in general. I feel like it's kind of like when I would play on it, I would get a lot of full drifts in either direction. I wouldn't really get a lot of like neutral drifts or like very tight spacing on my drifts. So I don't really know like if you have to actually use mod buttons to get like that tight drift a lot of the time, but I would honestly mess around with that and see like what works, because there's no really Boxx Jigglypuff besides Legend, who I guess is just recently getting back into it, that's like a blueprint for the character. So it's like it's basically like uncharted like territory for sure, because like the other characters don't really have to, you know, make their drift that crazy, and like their benefits from the Boxx are a lot more simpler in terms of their aerials. Like they get easier like frame 1 aerials, and like getting like a little bit more drift is good for those characters because they don't have a lot of drift in general. So it's like a lot easier to be like, oh, it's good for that. But for Puff, it's like it's easy to tell in tech chasing scenarios, but when you're doing aerials, it's a lot harder to figure out like how to get that correct drift timing. So I would mess around with mod buttons to see if that works. If not, I would just be more cognizant of like, am I doing like a full drift in aerial, or am I doing a full drift away aerial all the time? And just think about that. Like, because there's a lot of times where, let's say you're playing against a Falco player, and you're trying to like space around their down air. Sometimes you don't really want to do a full drift away, because if you do a full drift away and like do like a back air, for instance, they'll do their down air, and you're going to be so far out of range when you land next to them that you can't grab them for doing their down air. And that's a pretty common situation like that. Then you'd want to do like a tighter drift to be able to, when you land on the ground, be able to grab their down air, or do like a tighter wave dash, which again on the Boxx, like the wave dash angles are pretty there's only 3, so sometimes I didn't play enough against the Falco player, but I would probably mess around with doing like the no mod wave dash against Falco, just to, because most of the time I think with Puff there's no reason to not do mod X wave dashes like the max length every time. But against like Falco, I would probably mess around with doing like either mod Y or like neutral to like basically like stay in their range to be able to grab them for doing down air. Like that's a pretty common one. Similar thing to drifting too. That was a little bit of a tangent, but
gotcha.
Essentially, Melee is like all about just playing mix-ups, and like the most common one you might know, but it's essentially your opponent is dashing in towards you, and then you just back air them for dashing in. Usually you want to do this back air, or like this back air, both the same thing to cover dash in. So that's like the level 1 mix-up. Then the level 2 on that mix-up would be your opponent dashing in and shielding. And then the way you would beat that is you would turn around grab instead of doing a back air. So that's level 2. And then level 3, with your opponent being dashing in again, shielding, and then realizing that you're about to go for a grab, and then they jump at a shield, they roll, or they spot dodge. And then the way you would beat that is you would just do a falling up air. You wouldn't want to do a fastball. I got a frame 9 fastball by accident. You want to be no fastball on your up air, because this up air is very similar to doing like this grab. It's pretty hard to tell, but this...
I see what you're saying though, yeah.
They're pretty hard to react to, basically. If you do a fastball tomahawk grab versus a no fastball up air, it's pretty hard to be able to tell like in the game which one you're going for. So that's like how level 2 mix-up even goes to a level 3 mix-up in general. But yeah, the up air would cover them jumping, spot dodging, or rolling away. So like a lot of your gameplay does derive to getting into that situation. So that's like kind of like, if you have no idea how to play a matchup, you could honestly just default to this type of gameplay over and over again. If you're just completely lost until you form a game plan, and then it'll probably work just because of how broken it is with Jigglypuff.
Right, okay. I see what you're saying.
Sometimes though, people will skip levels of Mixup. They will just like start going to like, let's say they dash in and they jump instead of shielding, or they'll do like, they'll just dash in over and over again, even though you've already like started to go for like up air or like grab. So like that'll happen, of course, because a lot of the time on these types of mix-ups, they're so ingrained in people that a lot of times they'll choose a default option. So like maybe instead of dashing in and shielding, they're always going to do dashing in and jumping because they've played against a Jigglypuff player enough to the point that they've always gotten hit by the tomahawk grab, so they're just going to start jumping before even shielding. Or like, yeah, so that's just going to happen. And like, you don't really want to get caught on one level of the mix-up, even if you think like, let's say you've hit them dashing in with a backer over and over again. You're like, they gotta like adapt eventually, right, and go to level 2. But that just won't happen. You can't like give your opponent too much credit in this type of mix-up triangle. So this will just happen a lot. It's a lot about mixing up like which one you do, even if like, even if it's kind of an evolution in terms of getting to the final mix-up. It's still you gotta throw them out like, not like 1/3 of the time every time, but like sometimes it does feel like that against good players. But yeah.
Okay. And the only question that I have regarding any information about that is like, when do you find that, you know, it's more useful to go for a back air instead of an up air, or a tomahawk instead of an up air? Do you believe that it's just because of, you know, trying to read the player themselves and not like their gameplay? Because, you know, if they're going to develop a habit, that's going to start to come out more. Would you say that it's easier in order to, you know, evaluate those options just by comfort, or is there like a way to just kind of understand that easier?
So like at like baseline, like advancing it from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and then seeing what the player does to respond to you is basically how you do it. But sometimes it does matter based on percent. Like, let's say they're at like 0% and you go for this type of backer and they hold down instead of shielding and then just dash in and grab you, or they shield, Wavedash out shield, and you're at 50 and you get jab up smash. Like that, it makes it almost like worse to go for like the backer like as your level 1 mix-up. It almost makes more sense to go for grab as your level 1 mix-up because you get more off of it. And that's essentially what risk reward's about. Like, you always want to try and maximize the amount of hit you get and then minimize the amount of hit you take, essentially, with Puff. Because Puff's like really kind of, I don't want to say a punish character, because her neutral is just really bad against most of the top tiers. Like, Puff loses neutral pretty hard to Fox. Puff loses neutral terribly to Falcon. Puff loses neutral horribly to Marth. Puff loses neutral horribly to Sheik. Puff loses neutral probably to Falcon too. Like, the list goes on. Like, Puff can't win neutral enough times to like make it a neutral based character, even if people try to, like me. So it's a lot about maximizing your punish game. So that's like what'll happen. It's based on percents usually in most matchups. Like the Fox matchup is very based on percents. Like around 4% you want to be starting going for pound, and like 0% you only want to get grabs. It's sometimes matchups are very percent based, so you kind of need to know that stuff. So like if he was at 17%, for example, I would start going for the up air mix up, because Fox gets knocked down by up air at 17 and gets a kill. Whereas like going for a grab, like it also can lead to a kill, but it's a higher reward to go for an up air because he's most likely to jump and it also covers a roll. Like if I was playing a character that playing versus a player that played like Fox that always jumped in that spot, it would just make more sense. But yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Let me get back to the set so we can start talking about specific stuff from here. Okay. So, go back a second. So about openers, this is pretty general, but essentially whenever you do an opener, you kind of want to start trying to either take center or attacking your opponent. And doing this type of opener doesn't really do that. I like how you actually were already on the ground, like, or like shield dropping right as go was happening. That's great. So that's good recognition. But definitely want to, what I would do against like Sheik, for instance, I would just like Waveland off the platform or like jump off the platform and try and just get her with a back air right here, and that's how I would start the game.
Okay.
Or like, let's say you're playing against a Falco or a Fox player, just shield drop or Waveland off the platform and back air, or Waveland off the platform up air, or do like empty land and try and grab, basically like the mix-up triangle again. So it's like, essentially you want to always either try and take center or try and hit your opponent. You don't really want to do this type of like passive gameplay because they just let Sheik have this so much space, and this, I'm not going to talk about the Sheik match. Yeah.
When in terms of general game plan, because I have gotten mixed opinions about this, you know, playing in a region that's full of just absolutely stacked to the brim with top puffs, or really high skill puffs.
Yes.
How important would you say that holding center is in terms of game plan?
Okay, so so there's a lot of different things about this one. If you've ever seen Hungrybox play recently, or like very, very long ago in the past, he's very corner based. And the problem with that is that you lose the ability to be like threatening to your opponent. And like when you develop your gameplay based around the corner, you basically like cap yourself. Basically you're just like, I can only play in the corner. And then if you do aggressive mix-ups in the center stage or trying to pressure your opponent in the corner, then eventually you will get pushed to the corner and you can play the corner game. You don't have to like, but let's say you're only playing the corner game as your base game plan and you get pushed into the center. What do? You don't know because you haven't been playing the center game. Whereas it's just like a lot of the time when you play Puff, I think that it's best to try and pressure your opponent in center stage and then getting them into the corner and then knocking them off stage or grabbing them, arresting them, and then trying to edge guard them if you can, or just straight up killing them with like down air, like something like that. It's just like, I don't ever understand the philosophy that people do, that they only like play in the corner or try and camp out their opponent as their base game plan in every matchup. Because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I get frustrated watching Hungrybox recently too. It works a lot too, but he like, I'll just show you what Hungrybox does recently against Fox players. So this is Hungrybox. He's on the platform, right? And then he goes for this back air, this covers dash in. Does this forward air, covers dash in as well, and sometimes he does this shield drop pound, but usually he doesn't. He only does this mix up and this mix up. So this is Hungrybox in 2022. He's just basically given up on the idea of approaching Fox off of a platform, which is really good. So it's kind of beating into the path of the laziness. Like Hungrybox right now, if he's good enough that he's played the aggressive gameplay of like Waveland off the platforms and holding center to the point where he knows how to play that. But if you only follow Hungrybox from 2022 on and you start doing this stuff, you will just lose to Fox. There's just like no way you could win. Like, people do that.
Fox's mix-up opportunities when approaching on the platform are going to be a lot better than the options you can realistically cover.
Yes. Right. It's like Fox wants you in the corner, but like, yes. Like, he can die for going into the corner, which is what the Puffs prey on. But ideally, like, Fox could just never get hit while you're in the corner and just hit you over and over again. And that's perfect gameplay, pretty much, is what I did a Fox Puff lesson recently. I was just talking about that. I was like, IBW, like, plays it like he never gets hit in the corner once. Like, Hungrybox does that gameplay against IBW, he's losing 100% of the time. So I never understand people that, like, basically try and camp as their default option, because you just lose so much like ability to play the game, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
why limit yourself when you can just retreat to the corner as a defensive option instead of, you know, making that your neutral? Makes sense. Okay. Yeah,
like in this matchup, for instance, you have to be very aggressive because Sheik likes being you in the corner and so far away because she gets to just rack up damage with 3 needles. Same with Falco. Falco hates when he's close to you because then he can get grabbed or killed. Sometimes, though, there's some characters where it's like, yes, the risk reward to approaching or not is not that great. Like Captain Falcon, he has a lot of walling hitboxes, so it's hard to get on him. And like when you get a hit in the corner, it's so much bigger than even Fox. Like you get a back throw in the corner, Falcon could literally die if you read his jump or like his recovery mix up. And that's like, it's insane. Like if you watch HBox versus None at Genesis, because you were here too. So that set, I just announced on it. I was like, what the hell? Hungrybox just played in the corner the entire game. It's None, so he's gonna run in and be aggressive, right? But sometimes though, if the Falcon has the lead there, and you're playing in the corner game, you're never gonna get a hit because you just don't know how to play this. Like that's essentially what it boils down to. Like if you don't play the aggressive stuff, you will never ever like get wins in the long term.
So you think that, personally speaking, it's always better to play an aggressive play style when, center is, needs to be commanded?
Yeah, it's like taking center should be a priority. Sometimes though,
Perfect.
you don't want to like rush it, because a lot of Puff is about taking your time to get that space, but it's never about like trying to keep your positioning in the corner where you could potentially get hit off stage over and over. Like, oh my god, it actually boils my blood when I'm thinking about like Puffs that just only do this type of corner gameplays their entire yeah, no, but yeah, if that answers your question, it's pretty much how I feel about it.
Right. Okay.
So I'm gonna do this. I'll just play it through it. But essentially, when you do these types of like, you do this a lot, these kinds of like full hop stuff. So the way to actually get onto a side platform essentially is to like do this full hop and then do like a Waveland on or a Waveland off like that. So you do the full hop to be able to actually get onto a platform. That's why Puff's full hop is pretty good in general, because you could Waveland onto the platform after doing it. So that's like the entire reason behind full hopping in general. Unless you're trying to read a jump, then you can do like a full hop backer to read a jump. So that's like the only times you're gonna be full hopping. So when you're around a platform, you get on the platform with full hop, or you can try and be like, I know my opponent is gonna want to try and like rush me down, and like let's say it's a Fox, try and up smash you while you're about to start your full hop. Because when you full hop with Puff, you're very vulnerable to like attacks underneath you, because you can't actually hit them till about like the top of your jump, so you're not actually threatening anything for a while. Whereas whereas when you're short hopping, you're instantly threatening a back air. It's completely different. But in that instance, the Fox will try and like run and out smash you, or like it's a Sheik player, and they'll try and like run and like forward tilt you, or like it's a Marth player, they'll run and like dash dance and see if they land on the platform or not. In that case, you could just do like a short hop like back air or a short hop nair to try and cover yourself for going back into the corner. It basically allows yourself to actually get this full hop in general, because if they try and dash in versus a nair or versus this back air, they can't, because they just get hit. So
so short hopping to cover aggressive approaches is generally a safe option, especially if you're threatening with Air and Nair.
Well, not necessarily aggressive approach, like this full hop and then with the back air and then landing on platform with the Waveland isn't necessarily aggressive. What you do after is like the aggressive part usually. Or like
I mean from the opponent. So if Fox is doing exactly what you're trying to say, like dash, jump, cancel, up smash, and to try and get you out of kill percent, and just kill you. Covering just short hop, or well, more or less threatening short hop bear or short hop nair is generally the safest bet.
To cover dash in, you should always do like this back air or do this nair. These are always very good. Like,
gotcha. That's what I was trying to ask.
yeah. I was confused. This
is my bad.
That's all good. It made more sense when you clarified. Okay. So, yeah, I'll talk about like different types of aerials too when we get to that as well too.
Okay.
So, the next thing is about here. Okay, so when you're on a platform shielding like this and your opponent is underneath you, generally how it works is you do not want to shield drop, because your opponent can just like, let's say they're playing Fox and you're right here, they can just shield that you try and shield drop onto them with like a back air or like an up tilt or something. They can just throw out an up tilt and then hit whatever you do out of your shield drop. And then your only option to beat that is to try and like Waveland off the back air, Waveland off the platform and back air them, or try and like wait it out and try and shield drop down there, or shield drop like empty lane grab their up tilt, which is just like It's not easy to do. So like Sheik also has that instance where if you're on a platform shielding, she can literally throw out up tilt and spam it, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've worked out like situations like you could try and maybe like jump, like fall through it and try and like land on the ground with like holding down, but it's just not good. So yeah, I've talked to other folks about that too. So generally when your opponent is below the platform like this, every character is really good against Puff in this stock. I would try and do like edge cancel, so you don't do edge cancels at all in your movement, at least against Sheik. Edge canceling is really, really important when your opponent is underneath the platform, because it basically threatens like a mix-up to where you can like, let's say you're up here, you can lay on the top platform, that's perfectly fine too with like a Waveland, or you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Like there's so many different avenues of actually landing and trying to threaten your opponent or land safely. Like you can even do this and then just back her off stage, get Fox to commit or like whatever character with a jump, and then you just sneak underneath them and then land on the ground. Like there's so many avenues with edge canceling to be able to land on the ground or interact with your opponent in basically a more favorable position than doing shield dropping on top of them. So
I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Dawson. The reason why you don't see me do that is because I didn't take the time to actually learn how to do it consistently with Boxx drift.
Really?
Before I switched to Boxx and I was on GameCube controller, that was like probably one of the most pertinent things that I worked on. But only being on Boxx for as long as I have, like 7 months or whatever, I've kind of just tried to focus on relearning all of the fundamentals of playing the game. But I would definitely say that I'm into the phase now where I'm going to try and learn some of the more niche advanced mechanics. And if you think that doing the Waveland in order to threaten mix-up, or the edge cancel to threaten mix-up options would be good, then I'm gonna definitely dedicate some time to practicing that.
Yeah, I would say this is literally essential in 2022 at this point to edge cancel when your opponent is underneath the platform. Basically how I time it is I try and have my like right foot of the character like off the platform or like barely touching it, essentially, like how this one is kind of positioned. That's like basically what I shoot for, and I told other people that too, and it makes sense because every time you edge cancel it's like basically that's hitbox. And like most of the time though, you want to edge cancel with a downer. You can sometimes edge cancel with like a fair too, but personally though, I think downer is just always the best move because it's out longer, and especially since you're on Boxx, it's easier to control your drift timing with a downer than it is with a fair because of like push you to the ground very fast. So I would always just use downer to set it up. But yeah, that does make sense.
Gotcha. I'll definitely make sure to make it a pertinent point to work on that. And the other primary question that I have is when you finally get into the mix-up opportunities, like I know that there's a lot of puffs that just absolutely spam grab and whiff punish scenarios. Like how good do you think that grab versus back air or versus an aggressive move option is?
So it's a lot about, again, percents and also what your opponent does. In terms of whiff punishing though, you have to make sure you're playing against a character that doesn't have like a really good full hop, because a lot of the times I'll show you what happens, what puffs get into. So they're playing against a Fox, and the Fox, like let's say he throws out a downer in place and the Puff is over here. Puff does like Wavedash in and tries to grab him. Boxx either full hops and he just gets out of the scenario and he just falls on top of you with like a back air, nair, up air, and he kills you probably. Or Fox also just throws out spot dodge because of how easy it is to also up there in that spot too. But that's like essentially the level 2 mix-up I was talking about with dashing in as well too. So
gotcha. Okay.
So like it kind of depends on what character you're playing against a lot of the time and what they're scared of you. Like Falco is pretty much more scared of getting hit by like a grab, for instance, off a wave dash in. So he's gonna spot dodge a lot of the time because he's scared of grab. So then you would just either wait out the spot dodge and you could rest the spot dodge, or you could grab it too. So it's a lot about like getting into a spot that's close to your opponent when you're whiff punishing them. If you don't have enough time, if you do have enough time though, it's based on percent. Like if I'm trying to maximize damage, I'm going to be going for a back air sometimes, or if I'm trying to get like a kill at like low damage, I have to go for a grab because back air doesn't kill it. Like until like 70 against most characters, really.
Right,
So,
right. Okay.
yeah, it's basically percent based. If you have enough time to directly whiff punish, if you don't have enough time to directly whiff punish, you have to play a Mixup. So it's either like, it's based on, again, percent on what Mixup you play. Like, let's say Fox does do the jump, and he's not at like 17%, so he doesn't get knocked down by the up air. I sometimes will do like Wavedash back and try and grab them for doing their aerial. That'll happen a lot of times too. If they do a full hop aerial, and that's pretty good, because generally you want to like grab them for doing the full hop, like falling up air mix up, or like full hop back air mix up, like directly. And that does depend on spacing too as well. So that's essentially how that works.
Sorry for spamming all the questions. I know you probably wanted to get to your talking points of the lesson, but I just have one last one because I find myself struggling a lot against this, especially with the higher level. Because I mean, I definitely say that I'm like pretty far past like the doo-doo O2er stage.
Yeah.
But like, especially when I get higher and higher into elo, I find that more players camp me, right? And they often, especially if they're Spacies, they camp me with lasers, or if they're, like even just Spacies or Sheik, they wall me out with back air, or they're extremely aggressive forward air. So like, when they do that, what does their positioning say? Like, what does their positioning to you personally say about what that option is trying to accomplish?
Okay.
You know?
So if I am Fox, let me just go to Fox to actually make it a little bit easier. And I'm playing against Puff. I'm shooting lasers basically to get Puff to approach. Because let's say Puff is sitting on the platform going like what I was talking about earlier with the Puffs that don't approach at all. So the Fox right now is spamming lasers at basically at this distance because he doesn't want to get hit by like a random approach. So he's basically spamming lasers to try and get you to approach while being safe while doing it. Sometimes though, the Puff can start immediately approaching the Fox, and then Fox will choose to do like, let's say, another set of lasers because he thinks maybe the Puff will just start going back to camping again. But the Puff in this space can basically go for a Waveland off the platform and do it back here, or like Waveland off the platform pound to try and hit Fox for doing his lasers. And if Fox keeps doing his lasers because he thinks Puff's going to keep camping, then he gets hit for it. So that's what Fox and stuff like that is risking for doing, like trying to spam lasers and spam camping options basically, because like he's trying to get you to stop camping. So most of the times when people are throwing out those types of camping situations, they're trying to get you to come at them, and your response basically is if you can hit them for doing this type of stuff, then you hit them. If you can't though, you just take space on them. That's basically what they're losing as well too. They're losing space. So in this spot, like let's say you can't hit Fox directly because he dashes into the corner. He dashes in the corner, so you Waveland here off the platform and you're in center now, and now you have center. And then Fox is super scared of you because let's say he tries to do short op Nair out of the corner. Of course I mess my short op, don't play Fox that much. And then you just get like a wave dash back and you grab his short op Nair, he could die. And then let's say you go for like an aggressive like back air into the corner and he gets hit off stage from it because he's at like 50, then he could die. Or like he tries to jump onto the platform and you aggressively up air him and then he dies. And then you try and like grab a dash out of the corner, just a raw dash, and he dies. So it's a lot about like taking space on camping stuff, but sometimes though against like what you're talking about Sheik is a little bit different. When Sheik's spamming these types of like back airs, a lot of it is again covering bad approaches, so it's a little bit different than Fox. Like Sheik kind of wants you to approach into this. Again, it's basically like shooting a laser, but there's no damage. Or let's say Sheik is on the platform throwing needles. She's just trying to build damage, which is different than Fox. So to beat that is you again just take space on her. So let's say you're on the platform and she's throwing needles. You just start jumping off the platform and trying to get horizontal with her and hit her with a back air. Or if she lands on the platform and you're like over here, for instance, you try and upper her. So that's how you deal with like Sheik camping you.
Gotcha. So just take as much space as possible and, you know, kind of threaten more options by, punishing their camping. Because that is probably the biggest thing that I've struggled with, especially in higher up matchups. Like, I don't know if you know a player, his name is Dacky.
Yep.
I played a set against him a little while. And, I kind of got dumpstered just because of the fact that he's very good at doing nothing, in terms of, just not allowing me to play the game. He's very good at turning the game into the one-player matchup. And I find that the only reason why I struggle against that is because I don't know, like, particularly what to do when trying to deal with that super heavy, campy crap.
Yeah. It's like generally you
But
can't.
thank you for that insight. It helps me.
Yeah, it's like generally you can't really make melee into a one-player game unless you're in punish mode. If you're in neutral mode, there's always something you can basically do, unless it's like Puff versus like Pikachu. I think there's nothing Pikachu can do to actually challenge Puff jumping around on the platforms, like productively. So that's like a different story. That becomes one-player mode when you're in the lead. But
okay.
In terms of camping, it's a lot about taking space, yeah. And then like against like Sheik, for instance, she's doing this type of she's doing this backer roll. Once you take space, you can try and like forward smash her landing because her hitboxes aren't going to be out. Or like if she does like this backer, for instance, you can like wave dash in, crouch cancel grab, down throw onto the platform, and then you're on the box, and then you have a bit easier to tech chase than usual. So that's basically how that goes.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll do.
Okay, so back to this. Yeah, no, it's always good to just like interrupt me and ask questions. It's fine. We got some time to go through. It's all good.
Cool.
All right, so what was about here? Just the pound stuff. Okay, so this is incredibly common for sure. Right here. So pound in the corner feels so good. It feels so good to hit, but it is definitely. What'd you say?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so there's some like risk reward there's like some risk reward theory on this one doing a pound like this. It's not like there's a quote unquote bad, but sometimes it will get you a kill. That's why every Puff in the world has done this until a certain amount of point. Even Hungrybox and myself will do these pounds from time to time because they're like, oh, but what if this pound hits?
Yeah.
So, in order to make this pound a little bit better, and also to stop doing it because it's not that good. Generally, how it works is like, let's say Sheik throws herself off stage like over here, trying to be very aggressive on her edge guard. Or let's say it's even Falco. The Falco is another common example. Like they don't really want to go past the ledge when they're edge guarding, but you're being a little bit like, I don't want to say they're like, how do I describe this? They're either way too aggressive on their edge guards, or they're in the lead so much that they think they can just be very aggressive off stage. And that's kind of when these pounds come back, where you can just be catching an over aggressive edge guard from your opponent. It's not pounding here. This pound will never hit. Well, it will hit, but it won't really get you a kill most of the time against like really, really good players. And, like STMs is good enough to not get hit by that pound productively because they punish you multiple times after that first one. So it's mainly about hitting your opponent over here with the pound, or like here, that because they're too aggressive in their edge guard. So just don't do that type of pound on the stage. It's just like never, ever good.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so this is pretty common too. So getting out of the corner, this type of forward air, and then this landing is good though. So doing this type of forward air to get out of the corner is not that great. And the way to generalize it between every character, let's say you actually you're playing against like a Fox for instance, and you get this forward air on them. What do you even really get out of it? Because the Fox, if they're holding down, they can just start running at you. They can potentially get an up smash on you for doing this forward air. Or let's say they can't, and they are holding down. They can just like shield drop, and then they can just land on the ground before you do, and up smash out of shield. Or they could just do a full hop after they get hit by the fair, because it's not going to knock them down. They can do a full hop and then backer you and hit you. So it's like, doing really aggressive, like pushing your way out of the corner is not good. That's why those Puffs are really good when they're in the corner, because they don't really get hit a lot, but they also don't really get hit. They really space their moves well. So that's where their, style gets really good because they're used to it. So how to get out of the corner essentially works is like, you get hit off stage and you're in the corner and you're like, I don't really want to fight. It's basically your goal. You're not trying to fight, you're just trying to land like safely. You want to basically land close to your opponent still, but not get hit. So that's like your ultimate goal, is to not fight and then land close to your opponent and try and like be in a spot where you can still hit them. You don't really want to like run far away and give up a lot of space, or like run into your opponent's like kind of threat zone. So how I do it is I try and back air my way up to the top platform. If my opponent doesn't allow me to do that, let's say they're playing Falco, and they're like trying to intercept me here, like they do like a full hop and they're covering my area right here with a full hop, so I don't really want to jump into their back air. I'm going to try and land on the platform. Because they've gone over here, they've let me go on over here. So that's a lot about how the landing works, is like you just try and land where your opponent isn't, but still close enough to actually like hit them. Let's say they do like a random move after you land on the ground in place, you can just hit them. Or they try and like do a dash in and you're on the platform and they're on the ground, you just back air them for dashing in. So like that type of stuff will happen a lot. It's like it's basically never really trying to forward your way onto stage. There's some situations it kind of works. Against Sheik, low key you can do this, but you have to do a strong forward air and you have to go through them and you have to be on either above them or right directly horizontal to them. In the Sheik game, you're a little bit like this forward air, and Sheik was above you, so it's not that good. But that's like the only kind of situation against a top tier character you kind of want to go through them like that on the platform and be kind of aggressive. Whereas all the other ones, it's basically back airing your way up and then figuring out, can I land on the top platform or not? If I can't, I go here. If I can't land here, can I land here? If I can't land there, can I land here? And usually always you can land on a ledge. So, and then you just reset the situation again. So that's basically how the recovery works. And then you can also mix it in with like the edge cancel stuff, and then you can do like back air, back air, back air, edge cancel up air, and you can get a kill off that. Like it basically it uses everything like in terms of your platform movement too. So it's really important.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Because that's like pretty big in every matchup. It's a lot about your taking your time as well doing that too, in order to not get hit as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is just a small thing though. Just don't do these types of sing refreshes. You do them like a lot. The only times I would sing, which you actually don't do, at least in this set you didn't do, and there was at least 1 or 2 spots you could have, is you can just sing and grab the ledge backwards. So this is pretty good with Puff. Like Hungrybox, for instance, uses this a lot lately. I use it a lot too. It also allows you to grab ledge a little bit faster if you do this animation where there's no like singing effects, but doing this one, it's very slow. So if you're ever like wanting to use sing, just try and hit this hitbox, and then usually use it when you're not facing the ledge. You get a reverse grab. So that's really important for optimizing like grabbing ledge. Sometimes you'll just like sneak under your opponent's move because that happens. Okay, and then I just wanted to talk about usage of Nair, because you use a lot of Nair and like facing towards your opponent, which is good for sure. But oh wait, I missed something I did want to talk about. Never mind. Let's talk about this first. So
Sure.
In terms of facing forward, you use a lot of forward air too. So what do you think about forward air?
I mean, honestly, I even think that since that Genesis set was played, I've kind of defaulted a lot more to playing on the platforms and trying to approach less with fair, just because it's so easy to trade with.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of moves in this game that, especially when you're playing against Falco, Fox, that they'll just be able to hit you with their superior hitboxes, get above you, down air. Like, I only really use it when I'm trying to go for a fade back Nair, auto cancel grab or something. Just trying to do something that is an alternative approaching Mixup, but I use Nair a lot less than what I used to, I would probably say.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
In terms of like fair, I would only really use fair when my opponent's like around like 50-ish, because then it'll start like either, let's say they're in the air and they're floaty, it'll basically sometimes true combo into rest if they DI in or no DI. So that's the reason it's really good, especially against like Samus, Sheik, Peach, Marth. All those characters can get fair arrested, which is really good because it's a lot easier to get than a back air arrest. A lot of the times on back air arrest you get like basically a reverse back air DI in, and it's just a lot more convoluted. And like basically those are the only times we really want to be using fair in neutral. I will say I face forward and fair a lot versus Sheik too, so that's probably why that happened in your set, but I'm just trying to generalize in terms of every matchup. But yeah, that's pretty much when I would use fair. Or like obviously when you're edge guarding, weak fair is just really good in terms of setting up edge guards, in terms of also like making it so you can reset edge guards. So that's the only times I'd be using fair, mostly in this game.
Okay.
But Nair though, so you would actually go for Nair up smash, which is pretty interesting because Nair up smash is pretty good against like floaties, for instance, but against Sheik, it's a little bit dubious to go for. If you're ever going for like Nair combos against like midweights, it's usually off a short hop, and then getting like short hop like up Nair up smash. Usually it's not a true combo. A lot of the times they have to like do bad DI and then also not mash out, or like not be perfect in their like defense. So sometimes you get like Nair forward smash against Marth or Sheik. Nair up smash against Puff is a pretty big one that people don't go for. So like a lot of times it's off of a short hop against floatier characters. Then against like the heavier characters, auto cancel there is good, but it's weird because there's a lot of counterplay now. A lot of people are actually doing take the Nair, or they don't even take the Nair and they just hold shield on the Nair and shine out shield their Fox, shine out shield their Falco, and then if they're like Sheik or something like that, they wave dash out shield down smash you, and it's just horrible. So Nair is getting worse. So I would just definitely try and, if you said you're not using it as much, but the only times I would use Nair really is when my opponent character is at 0, I'm trying to get Nair grab, or if they're like 80 and I feel like they're gonna jump enough of the time where my Nair is going to actually hit their jump is good. But like it's especially horrible playing against an opponent on FD against a Fox and you try and do this Nair and they just wave dash out shield or just dash dance grab it and you just die every time. Sometimes even that'll happen on Battlefield too. Like this is a pretty common setup. Like you do inwards tournament winner into a Nair. Hungrybox does this a lot. I do this a lot. And IBW, I was watching a set versus him, and IBW literally just dash dance outside of the range of that Nair and just ran up grab Hungrybox like 3 times in one game at Genesis. And I was just like, wow, that's how bad Nair is. Nair is pretty bad too. So those moves are like basically moderation, but they have their uses for sure, especially Nair for comboing and fair for killing, essentially. But yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
I just wanted to talk about that. Okay. So, right. So you try and do these like weird like fairs. I don't know like really what you're trying to do with them. Like, do you know like what you're trying to do with this type of fair?
I mean, I guess I'm just trying to cover a really aggressive approach. I mean, that could just be really crappy instinct, honestly. I find myself doing a lot more tournament winner now because I often just try to do a ledge dash, even, you know, that's not the greatest on Puff.
Yeah.
But I do that crappy forward air sometimes because I honestly think that it's just a habit. Players in my region, especially the Foxes, like, they become very susceptible to just trying to sit at the ledge, hit you with a crap down tilt or a crap up smash, and it covers it pretty good, especially if you're still in, you know, like Galint or whatever, or in vulnerability.
Yeah, how I feel about this type of fair, it's like kind of hoping your opponent doesn't have good counterplay to it, because a lot of the times you can actually get, especially if you don't do the fair like really well, you can just get like hit out of it because of like they can just crouch here and then just try and like, let's say it's Sheik, they crouch cancel down smash, or they can grab you out of the fair, and then if they're in shield, same thing. Especially if you're playing against like a Puff Ditto, they can up smash out of shield the fair. Like, it's so much easier to hit this type of fair because of how the properties of fair work, whereas this back air is so much better than doing this fair because you can actually space it a lot better. So in the rhythm of doing the fair, I'm messing up my back air. So doing this type of back air is way better than doing that fair because it's a lot easier for you to hit their shield. If they're shielding, they actually cannot punish you out of shield for most characters. Let's say if they're Sheik, they just have to take that back air on shield, and you just go right back to ledge, and it doesn't even matter. You just do that the back air, and then basically that sets up you doing, like, you do this back air, and then you can just do back air, and get up here. Like, it just basically sets up you, like, actually being able to recover easily. And, like, also based on recovery, like, sometimes you do really, like, awkward jump timings and pound timings. Most of the times when you're trying to recover in general with melee, you kind of just want to pound your way, like, up here and just, like, air dodge on. Like, that's literally, like, the safest way to never die ever. Obviously, it's not how every single recovery is going to go, because 1, you're going to have less jumps sometimes, and then 2, you don't really want to give your opponent, like, the opportunity to hit you sometimes. So that's like the level 1 recovery. Like, basically, if like everything goes like horribly, you want to try and just pound your way up as far as possible and just air dodge on. But most of the time, you just want to cover yourself if you think your opponent is going to actually hit you. Covering yourself is fair, I mean. Back air is good because it gives you instant acceleration, so you get more distance. So that's important in terms of going for back air like this. It's not covering yourself, but just getting more distance. But doing this type of fair, only do it if you think your opponent's going to jump out to you. If your opponent's not going to jump out to you, literally just jump and try and grab ledge. A lot of the time, a lot of situations just happen because you try and contest, like, your opponent trying to jump ledge to you, and your opponent doesn't jump ledge, or they just hold ledge with invincibility, which is different as well, and then you're just chilling here. In that case, I would have just jumped over here and pounded my way up. Like, a lot of recovery can be really, it seems really easy, you just pound your way on the stage, but if you do a very lazy recovery over and over again, like these pounds on the stage, or like really like awkward like fair timings at the ledge, it basically allows your opponent to get free damage on you or a kill. Whereas like if you play as safe as possible, you probably shouldn't ever die like 90% of the time. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on recovery.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Where else was I? Invincibility. I actually think your invincibility was fine here. So this was good in general. I just don't like doing this type of an error. I don't know if this is a misinput or something like that, but generally, like, that up there was good because it was predicting your opponent to jump, which is perfectly fine. But as soon as you lose your one hard read, like your up arrow is your hard read, you can basically go for a soft read. What I mean by that is, like, you can like start approaching your opponent and putting yourself into a good spot for them to have to start doing a mix-up, essentially. If they don't do the mix-up, let's say they get hit by like a level 1 back air, for them just either dashing in or holding, or just holding center, like not a holding center, but like not shielding essentially, or crouching in place for no reason. That'll just happen. So right now, instead of doing this Nair, I would be jumping towards Sheik and staying a little bit too far away. Well, like, I would say about here, so I don't get hit by the back air when invincibility ends, but being close enough to having to force a back air, if that makes sense. Not just getting hit by a stray back air because my invincibility is over, but being close enough to having to force my opponent to do a mix-up, and then I can go for, like, basically either a punish on whatever they do. Like, if it's in the Sheik matchup, so this is mostly a Whiffpunish scenario, I was just trying to get close enough to be able to Whiffpunish something. But if it's like Fox, for instance, and I put them in the corner, then I would just have a soft read of being able to trying to grab their dash in, Wavedash back, grab their Nair, or like doing the up air stuff again. So that's like basically how invincibility works with every character. So I just wanted to touch on that. And then I like kind of talked about it, but it's not really necessarily being aggressive, but being closer to your opponent than being far away. And basically how you do that is you waveline off the platforms a lot, like you're talking about, you're just doing that more. But like the waveline off the platform mix-ups mostly devolve into waveline off the platform and back air is your level 1, and your waveline off the platform back air goes to about here. Let's say you try to short hop and do that same movement, like you waveline short hop, and like that's as far as your waveline short hop can go. But it's so much slower than doing, wow, so not good, double jump, snap back, okay. Like, this is so much easier than doing this, and then like that. It's just like, it's like a leapfrog movement on the ground, whereas in the air you instantly can hit an entire zone, whereas on the ground it's not the same thing. So that's why, like, basically when you approach, you always want to be approaching from the platform. Against most characters. Some characters, like, for instance, Falcon, I don't really think that using the platforms is that important. But like for Sheik especially, it's really important to be able to Waveland with the platform and hit it with the back air. And then like the mix-up off of the platform is like, it's kind of another triangle of mix-ups. Like level 1 is going for back air. Level 2 is going for pound, because your pound reaches a little bit further than the back air. And then the level 3 would be just landing here, and then being able to do whatever you want when they're in the corner, because that was the ultimate goal of trying to approach your opponents, get them in the corner, like I was saying earlier.
Gotcha, okay.
So yeah, that's basically trying to be close to your opponent, being aggressive, is in a nutshell. But I want to talk about here. It's just a minor thing, but this comes up a lot in terms of any character, pretty much. It's just try not to go for these aggressive type of forward airs, because it's like your opponent doesn't really want to throw out anything here. Like, they always want to try and grab ledge as their absolute priority. Like, sometimes your opponents will be a little bit bad, and they'll throw out, like, let's say they're Marth, and they'll throw out a side B here, and this is what your forward air would hit. It would hit your opponent being bad. You don't really want to assume your opponent's going to be bad, though, unless they show you they're going to go for this side B right here, or it's a Sheik player, and they throw out a forward air here instead of grabbing ledge, which was free. Then, yeah, this forward air works, but you're assuming your opponent's going to be bad. It's always better to assume your opponent's going to be good at first, unless they show you they're going to be bad. So, don't go for these types of aggressive forward airs, like trying to hit the ledge, because this will work sometimes against Fox, if they try and double jump the ledge and they don't have enough time to do it. But against, like, Sheik, Marth, especially Marth, they'll just grab the ledge before you can do that. So that is something that's really important that comes up a lot in terms of every game. For sure. So just let them get the ledge and then just play and mix up after. Because instantly when you do this, you're put in a bad spot off stage. And then let's say you're a little bit on stage when you did that, and they have like an invincible ledge dash, and then you just ledge dash, turn around, grab you because you're in the corner, and you have to shield. And then you just are such a bad spot. So this is something that's very minor, but it comes up a lot in every matchup. And then you actually got a tech chase right here. So the Nair wasn't the best move to set up the tech chase, so that wasn't really important. In the corner, essentially how it works, if you don't know, most of the time when you hit your opponent with an aerial and they hold down and they tech, they can just roll away against Puff, because Puff is so slow. So that'll happen a lot, but in terms of that, in the corner they can't roll away, because they roll away, they get stopped by the ledge, and that's important for everything, because if they have less space, then that means that you have less space to travel, so you can actually tech chase them on the ground, which basically allows you to RTC. And then this spot, you don't really want to, you want to be RTCing as much as possible. So let's say you did a short op Nair here, and they are in a tech situation. They have to tech, and then most of the time you can hit all of their tech options with dash tech, which is good. You can hit their options with drill, which is also good, because it doesn't allow them to tech anything. And you can hit them with back air or rest, or even grab, or forward smash. It's just like, whenever you get this type of knockdown, you are just happy in life. So in general, when you get a knockdown, see if they're in the corner. If they're not, you can't get a true check chase. Then you're reading what their option is. And most of the time, though, they will roll away to try to avoid any interaction. But the risk behind them rolling away is that you take space on them. You don't try and hit their roll away. That's pretty important. You do that once or twice here. So you don't hit their roll away. You just take their space on the roll away, and then you have to force them to shield, spot dodge, or roll, or jump. So then you just read their option, and then you just kill them for it. Or like they do like a wake up tilt if they're Fox, so they do a wake up shine. That'll happen too, and then you just grab their shine. Like essentially, like that's how check chasing works on the ground, because it's a lot different than on the platforms where it's a one-player game. Basically, because you're just reacting, whereas on the ground it's really much a two-player game in a lot of situations. But okay, so sharking. So in terms of sharking, in general, how it works, when you get this type of hit, you have to decide instantly, right away, if I can get another hit. Right now, I would probably be starting to jump. Do not fall to the ground. Start jumping with the Sheik. And then you would just try and get the next hit. If you can't get the next hit, you lay on the platform and you try and get the next hit again. because let's say they're so high up in the air, you just reset your jumps. You can Waveland off the platform to reset your jumps too, and you try and get the next hit, and that's fine. But in this sequence, you actually fall to the ground instead of trying to go for the next hit. So it's something to keep in mind. And now you're trying to shark again. So in this situation, you cannot reach Sheik up here so fast. That's basically like a rule of thumb. Most of the times when you start your sharking from the ground and trying to hit a character up here, you cannot reach them in time to actually hit them. Unless it's like Samus, for instance, or Peach, where like they have stalling methods up there. Like Peach is gonna like stall in her float, or Samus is gonna stall in bombs. Like, okay, in those situations you can actually jump from the ground to be able to hit your opponent up here. But against these characters, you basically want to go to the platform, the side platform, and then try and hit them either coming down onto you. Like let's say they try and run off the platform and try and like, let's say it's a Fox Nair, or that's a Sheik forward air. They try and run off the platform and hit you. You would jump away and hit them with back air. Or they try and either fall through the platform with a shield drop or Waveland off, or something like that. Then you can either just do like a jump from the platform here, falling up air, and catch their aerial, and that's really good. So that's essentially how the sharking works from every situation.
Right, okay.
Okay, next thing is... So you actually shield grab a Sheik forward air, which is not good. That's a safe move. But in terms of out of shield options, you don't really do that much. A lot of times you don't really put yourself in shield, which is actually kind of a good rule of thumb in most matchups, not put yourself in shield. But if I was having a Sheik forward air in my shield, I would Wavedash away. So Wavedash out of shield, I don't know how much you use it, because I didn't really see it in these games. Do you use it a lot? But yeah, essentially Wavedash out of shield is really important. Whenever you think you have to like roll, you basically have to decide, can I Wavedash out of shield first? And usually the answer is yes. Sometimes against Fox, for instance, or Falco, you cannot, and you have to buffered roll, and that's fine too. But against like characters that you think have a spaced aerial on you, just Wavedash out of shield and hold down. Most of the time is basically your answer. But I just wanted to bring that up. You can also up smash out of shield too. Let's say Sheik does the forwarder on your shield, and then they do a jab after. Jab, 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 and then you up smash out of shield after the jab's hit. And that's a pretty good option too. You can basically also Wavedash as well too, but up smash out of shield sometimes will net you a hit which you otherwise could not have, because when you do the Wavedash out of shield, you're turning it into a one-player game, whereas the up smash out of shield is mostly a two-player game, because you have to read them doing the jab jab a lot of the time. You can't really react with how Smash out of shield works with the timing. So it basically forces a two-player game, whereas Wavedash out of shield almost always forces a one-player game. So it's better in a lot of situations. But we go to the next thing. Okay, so in this span, ignore whatever just happened there. So you go for shield drop fair, you miss your L cancel, and then you go for a back arrow and shield, you also miss your L cancel. So this back arrow is completely avoidable for sure, to actually not have to L cancel it. So I was talking earlier about like the short hop, like they try and cover a dash in, and this short hop Nair to cover a dash in as well. And basically the other type of aerials are, it's like this type of back arrow I was talking earlier about reading jump. This back air is basically trying to either one or two things. It's trying to this back air. It's trying to either space on shield, which is good. So your opponent's over here, and you do this type of back air, to try and hit shield, while also being safe and spacing yourself far enough away to not get punished. That's an important back air. But there's also this back air, like this back air, that covers basically a dash back, and it's a very aggressive option. So whenever you do an auto cancel, whenever you do a short hop back air, you have to decide what you're covering a lot of the time too. Like on the shield, you could have just done this auto cancel back air and just drifted away. That would have been perfectly fine. If you wanted to do an L cancel back air on shield, you would have done this back air, like this back. There you go. You would have done that back air on shield, because you would have basically been doing the full hop one, like this, but you would have been doing it at a short hop. I don't think that back air is that good, by the way, so I wouldn't really do it. I would just do this back air almost always if I'm hitting a shield, hitting a crouching opponent, or trying to hit like a dash in, obviously. So that's essentially how auto cancel versus L cancel aerials go. Like, obviously, other moves like forward air don't have edge cancels. And like Nair, I would almost never want to L cancel a Nair. I'll almost honestly never really want to fast hold my Nairs too. Whereas like always whenever I'm L canceling, I'm a back air, I'm always fast holding it. It's just better. But whenever I'm doing Nair and L cancel fast hold, I'm only doing this if I do like an up air combo, right? I start an up air combo and then I do a Nair to try and get a regrab. Sometimes you can do that, and it works at percents that up air regrab does not work at. So that's a little bit of a, it's a DI mix-up essentially. It's kind of niche, but that's the only time I would ever use an L cancel Nair essentially. Anytime else, it's basically a mistake. But the next thing is, okay, we get two of them. So in terms of up air, just talking about it, like a lot of times up air is about reading jumps, like you're talking about with the mix-ups. You can't really throw out up air because of how laggy an up air is. You really need to make sure that you're doing it in really good spots, because up airs in center stage, for instance, are very laggy. You do this full hop, you do this up air, and look how like long it is before you can do anything else again. It's just like so long. Whereas do this back air, you're instantly out of there. But doing a full hop like up air, you are so screwed if your opponent is not jumping. So most of the time, you want to reserve your full hops, or you want to reserve your up airs for the corner, and like maybe 10% of your up airs should be in center stage. Generally is how it works. So that's just really important. And you want to set up your up airs a lot of the time. Like a very common situation with up air is you back air their shield on the platform. They shield drop into you and you falling up air. Works the same thing on the top platform too. That's a common way to set up a falling up air. Sometimes when you're doing falling up air, like let's say you were trying to set up the back air sequence where they back air, you back air and they shield, and then you try and hit them with a falling up air trying to read a jump out of shield. So you do back air, falling up air. So that'll happen a lot too when your opponent is shielding. A lot of the times though, you do these kinds of back air, falling up airs, and you actually hit the back air, which isn't really good. You don't really want to hit the back air a lot of the times when you're doing back air, falling up air. You want to threaten it, because you're trying to hit a jump a lot of the time with the back air, and not really necessarily trying to hit them with the falling up air. I mean, not trying to hit them with the back air, because you get into these types of rhythm where you do back air, falling up air, and it basically sucks if your opponent doesn't jump. And if they know your habit is to do back air, falling up air after getting a back air, they will just hold down when they get hit by back air and just take your falling up air and grab you for it, down smash you for it if they're playing Sheik, shine you for it if they're playing Fox or Falco. It's just very bad. So never really get into a habit of back air, falling up air unless you have a really good intention behind it, which is trying to catch a jump. So that's how that works. I feel like sometimes when you get hit at a hitstun, you're not really sure what to do. Like in this spot right here, you get hit by these needles and you're not really like ready to like pick an option here. What I would be doing out of needles, for instance, let's say this is a Falco laser 2, you could just like jump out of the Falco laser hit stun and you're in the air and you just fare out of it. That's a pretty common situation with a Falco laser. But like Sheik needles, I would either, one, I would try and roll away. I'm trying to think of other spots against this too. Like sometimes, like when you're playing against like, I'm trying to think. Like let's say you get hit by a turnip. A lot of the times, getting hit by a turnip, you want to just try and like get out of there because they'll try and combo you off of it. Or let's say you get hit by like a Samus missile on shield, and then you want to try and immediately get out of there because they'll try and go missile grab. So a lot of situations you want to avoid what your opponent is trying to do after, because that's what they're trying to do by getting you into hitstun, is trying to do their next option. So with Sheik, they're trying to do needle fair, needle down smash. This time they can't get a fair, so they do needle down smash. So what I would have done here is known that since either fair is their option or down smash being likely because you're next to them, I would be trying to hold down here and trying to get ASDI down or crouch cancel, because I'm at 0. I think I can actually ASDI down here and basically even rest their down smash. But sometimes I'm gonna be able to get out of hitstun fast enough to actually true crouch cancel here. Now I'll be holding down out of this needles, and then I'll be able to crouch cancel rest their down smash, and that would be nice. So a lot of times out of hitstun, you just need to be ready. You have to be thinking about what your opponent is going to do after hitting you with their whatever their move was. A lot of the times, let's say they do like they're trying to do down throw knee with Falcon. I'll just show you what I mean by that. So they do down throw knee with Falcon, and your response is like, I don't want to get kneed, and you know they're gonna try and knee you. So to get out of the hit stun, you like wiggle out, or like you basically get out of it, and then air dodge is one of them. I don't really say air dodge is the right move because it's not. Your right move, for instance, you get down thrown. Your right move out of the hit stun will be up air because they try and go for a knee or an up air and they whiffs. They get hit by up air every time. Whereas like that's like the main answer. So you have to think about what your opponent is going to do after they have you in hit stun, and if you're able to get out of it, and then you have to figure out what your counterplay is. So that's a pretty common situation. You never really want to just like take a combo, if that makes sense. Like you just took that needle down smash. You didn't have to, for sure, without getting anything out of it, for sure. But yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, next thing I want to talk about was... This is pretty similar to the back air falling up air stuff, but aerial, double aerial, mainly back air, is a really common autopilot, and the way to break that is actually you do it right here. You do back air up smash. So always be looking to try and do this. Basically what this means, so you do up smash here. I don't really like the move choice, but I like that you didn't do back air. So when you do this type of movement, you are trying to immediately try and make a mix-up happen. You're trying to either have them shield, have them jump, or have them spot dodge because you're next to them. So back air falling up air would have worked here, actually, ironically, because you would have caught a jump. But honestly, I like landing and then figuring out what to do after, more so than even trying to do another aerial out of your double aerial. So you can do like back air, you land, then the character usually gets scared of you because they're so ready for the autopilot back air that they shield. And that's like the level 1 mix-up. You just grab. So you just do back air, land, turn around, grab. That's so common against most characters in the game. So that's like basically your level 1. And then your level 2 would be like back air, land, and then read their jump out of shield, and then up air them. So that's like your level 2. And then like, let's say they roll away, then you can just do like take space on them because you can't really cover roll away that well. And then you just have them even more into the corner. So that's pretty common too.
Right.
So like this is good. I don't like the up smash, but the concept is good of not trying to go for back air because the only times back air really works is if it covers a dash in, because that back air isn't really going to cover anything besides dash in. So you just want to try and, especially since you're close to your opponent, you want to try and do the landing mix up instead. Sometimes they will preemptively try and hit you for doing like that. They will do a dash in short up nair if they're Fox, and to try and preemptively hit you because they think you're going to do the back air and then land with nothing. And that'll happen. Then you start going to do back air again with intention. It's a bit different than doing it on autopilot essentially. Yeah, let me go to 324. Okay, so immediately in this game, a pretty big concept comes up. So right here, so when you whiff this type of aerial, you have to figure out what your landing option is going to be, because again, about the hitstun stuff, you're not in hitstun this time, but you know you've messed up because you've not hit the Sheik. You're going to be in lag. Now the Sheik is going to be able to reactively hit you here and Whiffpunishing you. So your option has to be like made right now. As soon as you touch the ground without hitting your opponent, you're like, what is my game plan here? So again, Sheik, for instance, this comes up against Marth. I would not Marth, Falcon. What other characters? really want to do this against Ganon. So against these types of characters, you would do this drill, you would whiff your drill, and then instantly I would crouch. That would be my option against Sheik for sure, because they can't hit you out of crouch immediately. So essentially, you would do crouch right here instead of. You actually, what do you even do here? Do you let go of crouch? It kind of looks like you just stand still. Wow, you actually just stand up. Yeah, you don't do an option essentially. You just like let go of your controller. Oh, let go of your box essentially. You just didn't like do an input.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you could have inputted crouch here and been crouch canceling, and then be able to crouch cancel grab. So that's basically the landing option in this matchup. But let's say you're playing against Marth, or like basically only Marth. You'd want to do back air spot, like let's say you miss the drill and then you do spot dodge instead. The reason why you wouldn't do crouch against Marth, because Marth can grab your crouch a lot easier than he can grab your spot dodge. So that would be the change in that matchup. If you're playing against Fox, for instance, you can't crouch his grab, and your spot dodge doesn't work against Fox. Or Falco as well too. So against those characters, it gets to a weird situation. You have to do down air to shield, but they can run up, grab your shield, and in that instance you'd run a Wavedash away. So that's like basically how landing works. Whenever you mess up, you have to figure out what your option is based on the character you're playing against. Most of the times it's gonna be shield, and then sometimes it's gonna be spot dodge like Marth. And a lot of the time in some of those matchups, it has to be crouch. It's because your opponent cannot actually grab you, or they can't hit you safely with their option. Like against Falcon too, for instance, like he cannot hit you in your crouch unless he has a really spaced knee, or he does a stomp. So then he can reactively shield. Like it basically puts you in a good spot. So you have to be very, very aware when you land, like what your option is. Or like if you're landing on a platform, you can Waveland obviously, and then you shield, or you can Waveland on a platform. So it's a lot easier when you're on the platform, but when you're on the ground and you mess up, you have to remember like what your option is instantly, for sure.
Okay.
And this is pretty similar to, you actually whiff grab right here. Whenever you whiff a grab, in general, I don't want to say like every time, it's kind of similar to whiffing a like an aerial. Most of the time though, you want to hold down, because holding down's differently with when you whiff a grab, because most of the time the other character will be close enough to whiff punish you directly because of how long puff grab is, and the fact that you actually had to throw out a grab in general means you were close enough to your opponent to be able to get hit. So you'll throw out the grab, and your opponent will immediately try and hit you with an aerial most of the time. And then in that spot, you'd want to just you'd be trying to hold down, but you can't get crouch out because you're too close and your grab is lasting too long. So you get ASDI. So you get an ASDI input, and then usually you can just grab again. Most of the time, they'll try and like do like a Fox, like Nair at you, and you just ASDI down, grab the Nair, and you just go again. And that's a very funny situation that happens a lot. So whenever you whiff a grab, hold down and try and grab again. That's essentially how it works. Sometimes you can do the landing stuff. You can do spot dodge instead of doing a grab again. Like let's say you're playing against Marth and you think he's going to grab your whiff grab. Then yeah, you can do a spot dodge. But essentially that's how that works. But okay.
Makes sense.
So this is also a common habit. It's kind of like the pound stuff, but it's honestly very, very low key. Whenever you get hit at low damage, honestly, your goal isn't really to roll in, because I think what you're thinking here is like, you don't really want to like get hit off stage and take a lot of damage, because you're not as good as like getting out of the corner, or you're not as comfortable in the corner as you are like scrapping, essentially. Is what I think this roll in is trying to do, is trying not to get hit off stage. And if you like roll in, let's say they dash attack into the corner here, you have center on them. So you're trying to basically skip having to get out of the corner by doing this roll in. That's essentially what it does. So this is a low damage habit mostly. So don't do these types of roll ins, because you basically get hit for a lot, because when you roll in, you're most likely going to be dying in on the next hit because they're going to be able to react to you, or they're just standing here waiting for you. So they'll be able to get their best punish. That's basically what happens when they get rolled. When you roll in, they basically let them get their best punish on you. over and over again. So try not to roll in at low damage. What I would do is either mix up my options enough to the point where my roll in gets good again, or I would just default to roll away at low damage, because yeah, you get hit off stage, but sometimes you can just hold down and snap the ledge. Let's say they do a shine off the tech chase, so you just hold down and you go to ledge, and that's awesome. Let's say they try and do like a Falco downer and just hold ledge, and then let's say they try and do like a Falco shine. You just get hit up, and you're probably DIing away, because when you're rolling away, you're going to be holding away. So it's a lot better than rolling in and holding in, obviously. But yeah. I just wanted to highlight something you did well here. I just like how you got falling up air, up tilt rest, because this is like, I don't think it's talked about that much, but it's just really good falling up or up tilt. It's the king, I guess, but against Sheik, it's like really, really important to do this combo. Against like Peach too, it's pretty important. So I was just like that you did this. And then one last thing I want to talk about. This was actually another roll. This was another situation where the character was able to roll away here off of textures. So they rolled away. You actually try and cover it with a forward air. Again, if you just did an empty jump here and just was ready to cover whatever they did after the corner, that would have been better. So there's empty jump instead here, or wave dash in, doesn't matter. So you did that. You actually cover the dash in with forward tilt instead of doing like a grab here, which is really funny. But yeah, Puff's forward. It's crazy how you got that too, because like you obviously have to use mods for tilts. So I was like, wow, I can't believe you inputted forward tilt intentionally here. So like I just wouldn't really forward tilt at all with Puff. There's some like niche situations where like out of hit stun, you can like laser hit stun. You can like take their laser forward tilt the Falco and hit them off stage. That's like so niche that I think it's not even worth discussing. So I would just never really forward tilt here. If you're covering a dash in and you're on the ground, just grab, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, that was what I had for this game. There was a lot to talk about, but if you have any other general questions, but if not, we can like start looking at the next game and then like finish it in the next lesson if you want to. Practice as well, based on what I was talking about today.
Okay, yeah. I'm still able to look. I got 2 screens, so I'll be able to see.
Yeah, let me see what I want to talk about. Yeah, this is actually a pretty cool thing. Do you use Eggscercise at all?
Eggscercise? Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely just literally practice the edge cancel stuff in there, and like the Waveland stuff. Like sharking is a pretty easy one to practice in Eggscercise. Like the Waveland off stuff I was talking about, like Waveland off the platform to try and like reach the top platform with an up air is like really good to practice in here, because it's very important to be able to actually get that in Eggscercise. So that's really important. But yeah, in terms of like just general movement, like it doesn't really matter where you practice like the edge cancel stuff. That's fine. In terms of like the aerial crouch stuff, you can just do that in reversal training, or like just hitting people on shield with like different like timings, or using like the auto cancel aerials. I would just practice that on shield and like reversal training, and then like that also kind of helps like basically in like attack on shield stuff. Those kind of also put you in like hit stun scenarios, which would be cool to be able to see. Like you could like practice like or you could also use Training Lab to do that as well too. Like I don't really use Savestates that much. I should. It's mostly when I have like really niche stuff that I want to practice. Like in your situation, like let's say you like set up a save state like down airing Sheik and you miss it, and then the Sheik does down smash after it, and then you're just holding down and crouching, or like you do the downer and miss it, and then you do spot dodge instead against a Marth dash dancing, and then you have the Marth grab you and you rest the spot dodge. Like that could be something I would do as well.
Gotcha.
Like a lot about building damage. You can't really like skip a lot of situations in this matchup. Like against like Fox and Falco, for instance, like you're kind of skipping a lot of like necessary buildup of damage and like punish game in terms of just going for like a grab at 0 and getting a kill. So like it's not really the same thing against Falcon, where you can just like hit them at any percent and they're basically scared of death. A lot of times against Falcon, it's just going for raw back air and just trying to space properly. And then this matchup actually has you abusing crouch even more than Sheik, honestly. It's a lot about crouching and then power shielding when they try and do an aerial on your shield. And then the crouch also avoids the startup of moves. And then that allows you to grab out of the shield. So it's a really weird situation that I would have to like pull up a Hungrybox versus non-Vada Genesis to show you what I actually mean about it. But a lot of this matchup boils down to like building damage with back air and then getting in on their shield and like crossing up their shield in a way where they can't really tell where you're gonna land. And then when you land, you're usually gonna be crouching so they can't hit you with a grab. And then they have to do like a back air at a shield and read that you're gonna cross up one way or the other. And it just basically, it's a lot about stuffing as approaching too. Like this matchup is pretty complex and like it's complex in the way that there's a lot more to it than basically either Puff, mainly Puff. Falcon has a lot of stuff that he's developed, but essentially Puff can push a lot harder too. It's like, that's like basically how the matchup boils down to. Wow, that was a crazy wrist. But I just wanted to intro it like that. But
yeah.
I'm trying to think what to do now because it's like it's basically like time. But I'm trying to think like anything else I want to talk about for this.
He counterpicks me to FD here. Like I honestly kind of like Yoshi's. If I'm being honest, I like Yoshi's a lot more than I like FD. Is that like normal?
In terms of the stages, yeah, I guess I can talk about the stages as well too. I would say Yoshi's should be like worse for sure, because the problem with Yoshi's is when you get into the corner, you just get screwed over so easily by any hit. Literally any hit just kills you in the corner. Whereas like on FD, you can actually it's a lot harder to escape out of the corner because there's no platforms, but platforms don't really help you that much for Falcon anyways. That's why you'll see a lot of Hungrybox versus Wizard sets happen on FD, because it doesn't really matter. So how I feel about it is like they're both like for sure. It's like Dreamland and Fountain are the best stages. Fountain just because it messes up his combos a lot of the time, which is nice. And like sometimes they'll leave you into really good, like, especially if I was on Boxx, I would be playing on Fountain every time.
Shit, that was really bad. Hold on, I just wanted to point out what I tried to do here. So I know that I just by knowing this guy, and knowing what he's going to try and go for, I know that he's going to try to go for a double jump falling back air here. So I think that my pound is fast enough in order to beat this. That's so bad.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Pound versus those type of stuff is really common at low levels. So essentially, like, Pound versus a backer, almost every backer beats Pound. So you never really want to be backering Pound. I mean, you never want to be pounding a backer. That's just a general rule of thumb. It's definitely not that great. A lot of times it'll be against Falco or Ganondorf. Both those characters just eat you up for just going for a Pound like that. It's like, Pound is really good in this matchup because of it gets you so much when you get the Pound, because he's such a heavy character that he like falls into you. You can get a Pound up air and you can kill him off of it, and that's nice. But it's not that good in general for sure, because of how much like risk you feel on it as well too.
Dash is in place. That's pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Can't believe you just Wavedash straight down.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the only stage that's bad for you in this matchup is like Pokemon Stadium for sure. It's like every other stage is like fine, because Pokemon Stadium, the platforms are perfect heights. You don't really get much off the platforms, and you die pretty early. I just don't like Yoshi's against really good Falcons. Sometimes Hungrybox will be fine with it, but I don't think it's good versus good Falcons because they just go for back air knee and you die at literally 40% every time. And it's just like, what? Why would I do this to myself?
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's definitely. We should probably call a lesson there, and then if we want to like actually dissect like these games, I'm down to do that next time. But
I Falcon is probably the character that I have like the least most value, because I don't know, like I beat much more high level foxes than, like, in terms of relative skill, But I don't know. I guess I just don't like to think about like what players are better than other players. I'm more like just try to focus on the characters that they play.
Okay, so send me the VOD and I'll look over it before next time, and then we'll go from there.